By now it should be the new year. And because right now it's December 21st, but I'm planning on dropping this content, obviously, this newer content, throughout January, February, and so on and so forth. Now, what I wanted to really make this video on, at least for today, a lot of times with the new year, everybody gets excited. It's the new year, there's new plans, new opportunities, and as well as like new goals, like these New Year's resolutions, and really how to plan to attack for 2021. So I thought it might be useful for at least to kind of give some insight, at least like how I've kind of been planning my year a little bit differently this year than I have in the past, and why that is, and maybe that can also help a lot of you also in the barber industry, because I think a lot of times in the past I felt like setting a high goal was like all I needed to do, instead of like a little bit different planning, honestly, and a little bit different way of attacking how you plan for the year. So that's what we're gonna go over this video about. Also to kind of giving you a better structure of like, okay, cool, how to really determine, like, once you have the goal, because you still need a goal, but once you have the goal, what needs to happen with that, and how do you keep yourself on the rails? Because what happens a lot of times, even with myself, you'll find yourself like 3-4 months in, and you're kind of like back where you were like the year prior. Like there really is no progress. It's kind of like just this like hopeful thing to do, and like maybe after a while, maybe after a couple of years of doing that, you kind of just give up and you're like, fuck it, I don't even care about this shit. I'm just gonna do whatever the hell happens this year is gonna happen. And that's kind of like a very poor way to plan, especially when you run a business. As you know, what most people are as barbers, you run a business, and a business needs a plan. If you don't have a plan, then you're very susceptible to like failure, which I think a lot of barbers kind of borderline, and like this is what happened to myself too. I mean, you're not as profitable. It's kind of like you either break even, or you set a very low goal for yourself when you could have at least done more, right? So another reason why I'm also creating this video too, just kind of make sure everybody understands why. I think a lot of times when I was, cutting hair, and when I talk with barbers too, I see this a lot. When setting a goal, like let's say a desired goal 12 months from now, let's say a barber is making like 2,500, and a lot of times I felt in this category as well too. All you do is like, okay, cool. Like this next year, if I'm making 2,500 a month right now, I want to make 5K a month by the end of the year. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, I think that is very holding a lot of people back, right? And it is a very old school type of mentality in the barber industry, because a lot of barbers might not know exactly what you can make and sometimes we just do need some context, right? So if you watched any of my videos prior, I did say that we have a barber in the program that's making about 24K a month. We're trying to get him up to at least, I think we can get him up to at least 35K, until we need to start scaling back hours wise. We have a lot of barbers who are already making about 10 to 15K a month. Now, I don't really want to say their names because they haven't publicly come out about this either. So I'm kind of like a little bit more cautious if somebody says something about a income statement to me. Like, okay, cool, but like I want to make sure their information, if they want to make it publicly known, they can make it publicly known, right? And you can probably do your own research too if you damn well please. But for a barber, like why do a lot of people set themselves up for like that low, instead of like, okay, cool, I want to make 10K, and then how would you actually go about getting that as well too, right? So we'll go over at least something of that in the video, as well as like some things that I'm doing this year that might help and give you clarity as well too of how to properly plan. So let's go ahead and at least get into what actually, I guess what barbers typically do, right? We kind of already went over that in terms of like, cool, I'm making 2,500 a month right now, I'll just double it. And what typically happens is their plan of attack is, cool, what do I do? And they might even not do this logically, but they're like, cool, what do I do? Well, I cut hair and I take walk-ins. Well, what do I need to do more of? Okay, I need to cut more hair and then I need to take more walk-ins. Bad, right? That's gonna break at some point. And I mean, you might be able to get up to, you probably will be able to get to like 5K, but I don't think long-term wise that's a great plan, because, well, you're not setting yourself up, like, that's a good short-term plan, I guess I should say, right? But we always want long-term plans for growth, right? To get to go now, let's say next year around, you get at 5K, you're like, cool, I want to go from 5K, I want to go to 10K. Well, you cut hair, you want to take more walk-ins, even more, doubling what you did the year prior. how much better is that going to work? I mean, it's going to break at some point in time. You can see where this kind of goes, right? If you want to go from even 15 or 10K to like 20K and you're thinking, okay, more, like it's not, at some point in time, there's just a threshold that's going to be met on that, right? So it's always best to like plan long term. Like let's say you want to go from 2,500 to like, I almost said 25K, 25K, but 2,500 to like, let's say 10K, right? Now, that's the goal, trying to make 10K a month. But the real thing that is most important here is like building out the proper structure to get that, right? Because, you know, if you set a small goal right now, all you're gonna do is like, cool, I just need to double what I'm doing, I'm good. And you know what, you might or might not hit that, which is all right, but long-term wise, you're just gonna continue down the spiral. But if you set it up at that higher goal, like 10K, there's no way in hell you can just double what you're doing, or what is that? Quadruple what you're doing? Is that it? Quadruple? Yeah, quadruple's 4 times. So quadruple what you do to get that. Like that's probably not gonna happen. And that's a good goal to have, right? Because that tells you right there, to get that, I need to do something vastly different in my business. And that's a great place to start, right? So what needs to happen then if you're like, fuck, I can't do that right now? Well, you first need to identify if that was happening in your business, what would your business look like, right? So obviously, if you're at making 10K a month, you probably have a price raise. You probably had a couple price raises, right? To be able to, so you don't have to overwork yourself, because $25 to make 10K a month, cut a lot of hair. I wouldn't advise to that. You can. I think I have talked to a couple barbers who do that, but they are miserable, and it's not, and they're not having the time of their lives. They actually like really need some help, right? So you definitely would have to have a couple price raises in there. So that's one thing you obviously have to get a grasp around, is where your price need to be at. 2, well, if your price needs to go up, obviously, like first of all, like how does that happen? Well, it's not by adding more services on, because you're not gonna really make more income through that. It's just by raising prices up. Now, what you probably need to do is understand that a lot of those clients are gonna fall off, right? And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand too. Like a lot of barbers, what they'll do is they'll build a clientele, and this is like, again, the old school mentality. They'll build a clientele, and they'll be like, if I just keep these and somehow push these people up, I can grow this to like make a certain amount of money. And that never happens. Like that's holding your clientele hostage. Everybody has free wills. You're not gonna hold a gun to their head and say, pay me. They're gonna say, fuck off at the end of the day, right? You have to be able to provide value to a market, and be able to, you know, solve a problem, right? You can't be out here just like, give me money. And they're like, okay, cool, you cut my hair, here you go. It's not how business is gonna work for you, and you're gonna lose long-term with that. So, obviously you're gonna need to figure out how to market yourself if you're not already doing that, right? If you're just taking walk-ins, big red flag for you, right? Probably need to set up some place of marketing. And that's another like area that you probably need to like figure out, okay, what platform, what do I need to be doing? And then what are my metrics on that of how much, and you know, what's my conversion rate on that? That's an entirely different beast that you will spend a good portion of the year trying to build out on, right? Not only with like how to correctly scale, but also that. Then you also have in there, well, my product, to be able to charge that much, my product also probably needs to improve. So how do you improve product correctly? Because what most barbers will do is they'll say, I need to improve product. My fades, blur your fades, let's get it. And I can tell you right now, most clients don't need to blur your fade. It's not, to get an ROI, that's probably not going to happen, right? So how do you also improve product that will improve business as well too? And then also too, just having a proper, like at that point in time, making 10K a month, you probably would want a proper structure where you are profiting a good portion of that and not spending all that goddamn money, right? So you want to probably build out a proper financial tracking, at least place, or system. I have something that's not like, it's gonna be fully spec'd out to take on 10K a month, but it's something that will at least get you started right now. It's called the Proper Cut Tracking Sheet. I'll probably add a link down below. So you kind of have that for free right now for you to go and take advantage of. It's on the website. You can also watch a breakdown video on that. Now, where was I at? Those are like the couple things that you would need to identify. And that's a great place to start, because now instead of focusing on the goal, which is making 10K a month, which is what most people do, they'll go to the shop and they'll be like, 10K a month, let me get them walk-ins, right? And 3 months after that, they're burnt out and they're tired, their back is hurting, their shoulders blown out, and they're fucked, right? They can't make the 10K a month. Versus, okay, cool. need to focus on these things. What comes first in that order of consequences to make everything else work? And then where do I need to start on inputs of that? And then just solely focus on the actions wise, right? And then also to how to iterate off of like improving your action base, right? So for me in my business and like helping barbers out grow. So I run an online program, obviously, and run a company that helps barbers do all these things, improve product-wise that is ROI positive to their business, improve their marketing that actually gets them some damn results, whether it be at like, $25 a cut, or we have a barber who's also charging $200 a haircut right now as well too. And how do we go ahead, because like at each level you're gonna have plateau, and how do we correctly market to intake new clientele? And then also too, how do we structure this damn thing out so we don't go fucking crazy trying to, whether it be like during tax season or even to properly structure when, a price raise is going to be occurring. And then also how to properly raise prices. But for myself right now, I think that's what I was going to get on. For myself, what I'm doing, so I already know what the actions that need to happen to improve everything. Like kind of like also like honestly, like all businesses kind of follow that same type of structure, right? It's going to be marketing, it's going to be product, it's going to be business structure, and maybe one or two things added onto that depending on the industry that you're in. But typically, those are all things that you're going to have to work on to build out system-wise. Now. For me, I know what I need to do, right? And I've identified the actions of what I need to do in order to build everything up. And what is more, I guess, important to me now when planning is what I need to do less of, right? And what is actually like screwing me over. So one great example of this is like I need to get more, like I'll give you three things that I need to tighten up at, right? That all improve to me getting to the overall goal, right? So one is sleep. And you're probably like, what the hell does that have to do with anything, right? Well, if you do a lot of research on sleep, and it's like one of the most like things that you probably wouldn't think about that would be on a video for business, but like, if you look up a lot of things, sleep has a lot to do with like your mental cognition and like how you actually solve problems and approach issues. And in business, all you're doing is like solving a lot of problems and adding value and creating. And that is all done with your brain. And your brain needs to be shut off, which happens during sleep, and it recovers during sleep. And it can think faster if it gets proper sleep. So if you get better sleep, all of that other stuff that I just talked about improves. And that means in accordance with that, all your business improves. Hopefully, if you're taking the right actions, right? So that's one thing that I want to get on. I want to really get on I already have a strict wake up time. I wake up at 7 a.m. every morning. It's non-negotiable whether it's on my off day or not. But more strict on just falling asleep time, right? Because sometimes I'll get too busy studying or working with barbers inside the program or just building things out to build a better product for the barbers inside of the program, right? And improving things. So I need to get real strict on that. And typically you want to get anywhere between like 7 to 8 hours of sleep. That means you need to spend at least 8 to 9 hours in bed, right? Sleep and in bedtime are completely two different things. Most people would be like, oh yeah, I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I'm willing to bet that you probably, if you think you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, I'm willing to bet that you probably get about 5 to 6 hours of sleep. And that's not the best thing to be doing whatsoever. One thing that you can be doing, I wear a Whoop. There's a couple of things that you can track your sleep. Whoop is sorry for flipping you off. Whoop is a great company. I wear a Whoop because I want to track my workout as well too. Another one is Oura Ring. I don't wear an Oura Ring. I've never bought an Oura Ring, but I heard great things about them. It will also track your sleep and give you like a readiness score. But there's also things of what you need to be improving. The main thing that I would always, or at least for myself, that I'm trying to work on, if we really want to get the nitty-gritty things, is like my HRV level, right? Now that will but the higher the HRV level, which is heart rate variability, the better my recovery is, because it allows it basically counts and measures like the variable heartbeats and the variations between the heartbeats. And the higher that score, the better, I guess, control you have over, going from relaxed state to then an excited state. Because more times than not, that flight or flight response, you'll always be in fight mode, right? So your heart's beating really, really fast. There, you have like if you always have your heartbeat is always on the same beat, you have like a 0 HRV, which is terrible because that means your heart's never going to be at rest. So I'm trying to prove that, at least for myself, just kind of like getting a little bit more nitty gritty stuff. That's one thing. Because I know if I do that one thing, a lot of other things that I'm going to be working on take an uptick as well too. Creativity, improved work. I can work longer, which is another thing that I'm working on too. So, second thing for me, typically my days range from I wake up at 7 a.m. And I finish work at 7 p.m. What I'm going to be doing from now on is working from working all the way until I'm going to end my day at 9 p.m. So at the time I would typically like shut off everything, get ready for bed. I'm just going to be working straight through. And that's going to allow me to have a couple more hours to squeeze out some more productivity, as well as it kind of feeds into my next thing, which is cutting out a lot of enjoyment, right? So you're probably thinking, well, why are you doing that? Well, kind of like what I said, I don't know if I said this before, because this is the second time that I'm actually recording this video. But one of the best things I ever did was actually stop drinking alcohol and stop partying as well too. And that allowed me to because I got better rest, I stopped drinking. So I had better creativity, and I wasn't so groggy all the damn time. And I wasn't really focused, my body wasn't focused on recovery, but it was more focused on like progress, right? There's a different mode between recovery where you're just trying to survive and actually progressing something forward. Now, for me, I think the past couple months I've had I have drank a little bit more than I probably would like to, but I'm just gonna tighten up on that damn thing, right? Also with diet as well too. One thing that I do is I take a microbiome test and I get a gut test basically. So I know what to eat, and it will improve productivity as well too, because what you eat obviously is the input, and the output is energy that's being burned. So I'm also gonna clean my diet, even though my diet is pretty clean already. I'm gonna cut out all cheat meals that happen on Saturdays, and really just tighten things up of that sort. So I'm actually removing things, right? Where more people, when they do goals, they try to add things, more working out, more this, more that, more. Again, I'm taking away, because for this, of course, less is more. So that's kind of like my way that I'm attacking. I guess, did I even go over how you can implement this? I mean, really, for if you're watching this, how you can at least implement this, first and foremost, like we said, identify what you really want. Do you want to, obviously, if you want to improve your business, 3 areas you should focus on is, marketing, business structure, and product. Now, to get really good at those things, most people, you're just gonna have to actually do some damn things to get progress, because most barbers don't. Just focusing on those 3 things right there, and you don't have to do anything of I think it's always good to get more sleep and all health and everything like that, but I think just putting even more focus, or just actually focusing on the right things to do first, will get you improvement. Now, if you want to get that 1% or even 20% or even more improvement, I think also too, I think cutting a lot of bullshit out, what I talk a lot about on this channel as well too, and that's not what I go over in working with barbers in the program. I mean, we do very tactical things in terms of marketing and how we position ourselves for long-term success with our marketing, with our business structure, with our pricing. But what most barbers need, when I talk to them on the call that, it's not the right fit at the moment in time, it is more of these aspects to it, right? So I'm trying to at least fill a need right now, because most barbers, they either don't know what the hell to be doing for the new year, they take the wrong actions, or they just continue doing just the wrong bullshit stuff and listening to the wrong bullshit people. So hopefully this does find you some value. Of course, when you're planning the new year, you probably already have some plans, which is phenomenal, and some goals. Maybe you just use it as an iteration, right? Okay, cool. You've listened to this video. Maybe you've rethought at least your plans. Maybe it's still pretty early in the year, or maybe you're watching this video, it's already halfway through the year. You don't have to wait till the goddamn new year to at least make a goal and try to make some progress. This can happen at any point in time. Now, the biggest thing I want to also harp on is don't focus on the time frame wise, because you're always going to be disappointed, right? If you focus on time frame wise, you're focused on the wrong thing. You should identify a goal, what that time frame ideally you might want to have it as, whatever you think you want to have it as, and then get that shit out of your head, right? Just focus on the inputs or the actions, and focus on turning that up more and more extreme. and maybe even taking more and more out of like that's not needed or the waste that is happening in your life, and just turn up those power actions, right? And you should start seeing incredible progress. Now, very, very simple overview of like what needs to happen. Obviously, if you felt like this was useful, let me know in the comments. Maybe I might go ahead and do some more planning or talk about maybe like things I've seen with either sleep improvement and how that's helped my business out. I know for a lot of barbers in the program, that's some of the things that we also set up with them. First and foremost, they have to get their schedule down and kind of get like these base level things started, because that is like the building blocks for everything else. You can't build a great structure and infrastructure and a great business on shitty fundamentals. And honestly too, that's what's going to take you higher than anything else at this moment in time if you're just starting out, is the core fundamentals, right? Eating correctly, sleep, and cutting shit out. You stay like very diligent on those core fundamentals, you should see a lot of improvement. In fact, I've had a lot of barbers I've talked to that have actually seen exponential results just from doing that, like literally doubling, tripling their prices just from doing that, who weren't even in the program, which is phenomenal too, by the way. But like I said before, if you found this of value or found this useful, I would love to hear back what you did find useful, and like maybe if you want me to talk about anything else out in some further videos, down in the comment section down below. I will no longer be wearing a white t-shirt or a white long sleeve during these videos, because I realize that this is terrible contrast. I feel like I'm just a floating head with some floating hands. But yeah, if this is your first time watching the video, I don't typically upload that often. I'm getting back into the swing of things of doing a weekly video. So go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to go ahead and check out our resources section on theneweraBarbering.com. There I put like a lot of free resources, as well as breakdown videos of like all the YouTube videos that I do. That are a little bit more digestible and can be a little bit more action-packed and planned. Instead of watching a 21 minute video, you just have like a little 3-minute read and understand exactly what needs to happen within there as well too. So I'll go ahead and link that down below. And then by all means, hopefully I'll see you guys on the next video as well too. And other than that, go kill it this year. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought.